What's up while we're doing this?
Well, we are family. Good morning, family. Good to see you today. Well, it's morning here. It's not, it's just about time to go to bed in other places around the world where you are watching. Our friends from Australia, it's after midnight. And if you're in Europe, it's in the afternoon. In India. So, folks, wherever you're joining me from, would you just take a minute and tell me where you're watching from? Just type it in, whether you're watching on YouTube or Facebook or wherever you're watching on whatever social media. Just let me know where you're watching from. It's always nice to know. David Kelly White is here with us, our good friend from Littleton, Colorado. Littleton is 51 degrees today. And I think it's going to be in the 80s again here too. So it's a little warmer here. Folks, once again, thank you for joining me. Great show today coming up. And we've got some special guests, some old sanctuarians here with us today. And I'm excited to bring them on in just a minute. As always, our podcast, our broadcast is brought to you by Headbangers Brew, our very own coffee with 10 different blends, which is kind of exciting. Our newest one is called Jamaican Me Looney, kind of a Jamaican feel to it, and a little bit of a blend that should remind you of Jamaica. Yeah, if you've ever been there. Jamaican Me Looney. And Headbangers Brew, of course, the very thing that should be in your mug today. Folks, again, thank you for joining. If you're just tuning in, would you let us know where you're from? I'd love to have that information. Drinking from my Sanctuary, We Are Metal, We Are Family mug. Chris Moore is here. Good day to you, Chris. Folks, sign in. Let us know where you're from. Crown Point, Indiana is where Average Joe lives. Average Joe, I like that. One of the guys that's part of our fellowship here used to have a band called Nobody Special. And his name that he still goes by is Pat Nobody. So we got Pat Nobody and Average Joe. It's kind of a cool thing. Emma, good to see you today. I know Emma's from Montana, the mom of the Mangled Carpenters guys. And Emma, always good to see you. Bless you. Rodney Jeffries, of course, from Australia, stays up late to watch the show. We appreciate that, Rodney. Once again, great show ahead. Bob Adams is here from Waipaca. We call him Bob 2.0, Pastor Bob 2.0. Looking forward to being at the Sanctuary World Headquarters in a couple of weeks. Bob's bringing a team down here, and they're going to help us to do some construction on the storehouse. We're excited for that, and it's always good to see our friends from Waipaca. So Bob just had a show last night from with Chaotic Resemblance, and it was a great show. Great show. I'm so happy that you were able to get them there. Donna Maxwell, our old friend, is from Rome, Georgia. Good to have you here. Our neighbor to the south, Crystal, good morning to you. Crystal is part of our worship team. And Emma says it's 28 degrees in Montana. Yikes. There are some days that I'm glad I'm not there. I like Montana for a lot of things, just not the cold. And Durwood Darby Kirby is here, Facebook, from Ohio. Good to see you. We're about to be in Ohio very soon. And Crystal says she's drinking Jamaican Me Looney right now, as am I. Best coffee. This is our newest blend. It's so good. So AB says, this past Sunday, I saw Norma Jean for the 7th time, POD for the 11th time, and it was fun. Also went to Santa Ana this past Monday and saw NJ for the 8th time and POD for the 12th time. You can say he's a fan. That's awesome, dude. And Norma Jean, such a good band. Such a good band. And the Chariot, too, obviously have a lot in common. But great old bands. Wendy is here from Scotland. Good to see you today, Wendy. good friend. Lori, good morning to you. Good to see you. Look, folks, sign in. Let us know where you're from. Speaking of signing in, I want to bring on my co-host for today, Jim
Yes.
LaVerde.
Yes.
There he is.
Here.
And
I am here.
we see your hand, and now we see your face.
Yes.
Maybe we could put the hand back. No, just kidding.
Oh, jeez. Thanks, Bob. Well,
Here from Oklahoma. So,
yeah,
Jimbo, it's a beautiful day here, isn't it?
it is. And you know what? I really wish that I would just have a bag of that Jamaican blend. And
Well, I know, huh?
look, it's magic. Woo!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jim,
I haven't tried it yet, but I'm looking forward to it.
Got to try it.
Yeah.
I'll give you some.
Yeah.
So, Jim, you were in the storehouse. Behind you is where the worship team plays, and
That's right.
we're about ready to fill it up this weekend.
That's right.
Our theme for the weekend is what?
May the 4th be with you.
That's right. May the 4th be with you, the 4th of May. And it's our gathering coming up Saturday, May 4th at 3 p.m., Sunday, May 5th at 9:30 a.m. And of course, every single one of our gatherings and every time we get together, we do every Sunday here, every Sunday morning at 9:30. We have teach, meet, eat, pray. We call it the 242 at the storehouse. And of course, from Acts 2:42. And Jim, we've said before that one of our favorite parts is the eating part.
Oh yeah, that's definitely
yes,
definitely one of my favorite parts. And thanks to Jamie McCavanagh and Charlie and everybody, Jay and everybody that helps. They just usually not usually every time
they knock
provide
it out.
a phenomenal meal, and
Yes,
and they're good at it too.
So Chris Keene is here with us this morning.
Hey, Chris Keene.
And he says, good morning from soon to be sunny Azusa. It's still a little early there, but good to see Chris, as always, on our sanctuary staff. For how many years, Chris? Probably almost 40 years now, 40 years next year. Wow. Morton is here. Morton from our Kenya Worship Project. And Morton from Sanctuary Denmark. Good to see you this morning. Oh, there it is.
There it comes. Whoa, it's magic.
Yeah. George Skinner is here from the UK. Jim, it's interesting how many people join us from everywhere around the world.
I know.
We've got a great audience, don't we?
Yeah, there's a lot of folks joining us this morning. Hello to everybody. And we're glad that you're with us for sure. We're going to have a good time.
And so, Jim, you were out late playing last night. Tell us about what you're doing.
I was playing at the Nash Jam, and it's a really great opportunity for me to rub elbows with some of Nashville's finest musicians. And we played. I played some Metallica songs that I barely could play, but we just had a great time, and we had a rehearsal here in the storehouse. And thank you, Pastor Bob, for opening that up to us. And yeah, it's just a great way to get to know some folks, a lot of them that are not in the faith, and
yes,
and at the same time, there's just that musician camaraderie that happens, and we had a great time. The band did really well, and it's just a little side thing that I do once a month, and just to kind of get out there and keep my chops up.
Yeah, and that's it, isn't it? Keeping your chops up and keeping in practice, and
and
you have to practice being a rock star.
Yeah, and believe me, back in the early days when I used to live with Pastor Bob when I was in my 20s, he used to have to hear me practice that bass to a drum machine.
Yes.
Like hours a day. It's like, when is he going to go to bed?
Yes.
Please go to bed.
So, yes, I remember the days.
I really wish I would.
Sweden. We have James from Indiana. And we had Jonas from Kenya just a minute ago, who is part of, there he is right there. Looking forward to walking down memory lane with you. And Jonas, it'd be cool to do a memory lane from Denmark too, wouldn't it, one of these days? We could talk about the progression of sanctuary there. That would be great. James is here again from Indiana. And folks, if you're joining us today, would you just let us know where you're from? And we'd love to welcome you. Robert is from Eagan, Minnesota. I love Minnesota. It's a cool place.
Yeah, Duluth in the middle of the winter.
Yeah, well, except for that. Yeah.
The coldest I've ever been.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Yeah, that it gets a little chilly.
Yes,
I
it
used
does.
to live in St. Paul many years ago, and it was a little chilly. Yeah, but of course, I'm from Montana. We're used to chilly. Kyle is here from Holland, Michigan.
Oh, wait, hey, can I say something about that?
Yes.
So I worked on a Nicole Kidman movie called Holland, Michigan, and I think it's coming out probably, if it's not come out already. They filmed it right here in Tennessee, Nashville.
Really?
Yeah, both my son Hunter and I worked on it. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Well, that's great. Jim, explain to everybody exactly what you do in the movies.
Well, I'm a grip. We grip things. And, yeah. I come from a family of people that have been in the film business. My dad, my father, my brother-in-law, my nephew, my son now, and so basically we are responsible for, after the electrician sets up the lights, we cut light, color it, diffuse it. We build stages. We are involved with camera support. Anytime you see the camera moving across, somewhere, it's usually the camera is on a dolly. Pretend like this is the dolly, and there's a dolly grip that's pushing it back and forth, or a crane.
Right.
And so we're very involved with the behind the scenes working, and so
Jim,
I've been doing it.
Your dad started on MASH, didn't he?
Well, no, he started way before MASH, but
did he?
that was his big break into becoming the key grip, the guy that grips the keys.
Yes, right.
A key grip is basically a department. He's the department head over the grip department. So he worked like 10 years on MASH. He worked on the Love Boat. And then later on, when I got into it, I worked with him on Iron Man 3, Black Panther,
Transformers.
That was my brother-in-law. Worked on Transformers. We worked on Grace and Frankie with Lillian Tomlin and Jane Fonda. And so it's just been it's a great opportunity to get into his world. And believe it or not, my dad is a rock star.
Yes. Jim, I remember when you and I were sitting at the theater, we were watching Scrooged.
I know.
And at the end of the movie, when they're just ending and they have this big scene, Jim goes, "Whoa, that's the guy that works for my dad right there." And then he goes, "And there's my dad." And you're at the end of the movie. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was in several films, like Father of the Bride 2. And my brother-in-law was like, believe that he was in there. They were filming them building a gazebo, and it actually made the final cut.
Yeah.
And if you watch the final episode of Nashville, actually I was in that. So they threw the grip department in, and so every once in a while we get in front of the camera. So yeah.
So you worked on that TV show for quite a while, didn't you?
All 6 years, and got to meet some really awesome folks there, and loved the music, and it was a great time. Really good for the city and for the film community here. So put a lot of people to work.
Well, I remember when you and I went to Transformers, which you worked on, and I remember that I thought, this is kind of cool to get the behind the scenes, picture from Jim. But then about halfway through the movie, I thought, maybe it isn't.
Yeah. Yeah. It
kept going. I set up that light over there, and then I did this angle over here, and I did this and this and this. And
really,
I think I had to watch it again to get all the storyline, but it was very interesting to see how involved you are in the movies.
Oh yeah. Well, so there's two parts. There's if you some folks are rigging grips and other ones are production grips. Some people do both. I do both. And the riggers go in way beforehand and set the stage up and hang green screens and various things, set up stages. And the production grips are more along the lines of on the everyday shooting of the film.
Yeah.
But yes, it's very involved, and it takes the mystique.
Yeah, it totally does. Yeah, behind the scenes, and then and I remember there was one huge scene of a whole street, and you go, "That's all green screen."
Yep, no kidding. Yeah, the biggest green screen I've ever set up was 450 feet long. And,
oh my gosh!
And 60 feet high, and I remember flying out to come home, and you could actually see it from the airplane. It was
really
Universal Studios in LA.
I
was telling the guy sitting next to me on the airplane, I'm like, see that down there, that green thing that looks like a little boat? And I said, I helped build that thing, So
yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, Jim, we've got some good times with memories ahead.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to take a break for just a minute. And when we come back, Glenn and Sherie Mancaruso will be with us, our good friends. And we've got a lot of memories. Got a lot of memories to share, a lot of happy times, difficult times. We've all been through it all. And we'd love to share it with you. So, folks, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Hello, Metal family. So I'm excited for the next Immortal Fest. Such great bands, such great people. I hope you're going to be one of them. I'll be there hosting both events this summer. Really excited to spend time with the bands and to spend time with you. Sunday at the first event on the 28th of July will be the Sanctuary Day. We're going to have a service. We're going to have our worship team. We're going to have some special guests. We're going to have a good time. And I hope that you plan to come, and some surprises still to come too. So both events, 1st July, 26th to 28th September. Great bands, great time together, family time. We are metal, we are family. I hope to see you there.
Hey guys, DJ Rev here with the Warriors Night Out Radio broadcast. Join us every week right here for 60 minutes of the best soul-shaking, bone-shattering, spirit-charging, faith-based rock and metal. Break the cycle! Featuring all your favorite hard rock and heavy metal favorites from across the U.S. and around the world. The Warriors Night Out Radio broadcast, the war cry of the faceless generation. Be sure to find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter X at WNO Rocks.
And we're back, folks. And we want to bring on two guests today. And they are not strangers to anyone who knows anything about Sanctuary. Been around for a couple days or so. Glenn and Sherie Mancaruso are here with us. There they are.
Hi, guys.
Hey. Yes, good to see you both.
Hi, Glenn.
To say that we are excited to have you guys living in Tennessee.
We're excited to be here.
Yeah. You just moved here how long ago now?
It was in December 9th.
So
I will never forget.
The day that
lives in infamy.
Tornadoes were hitting.
And we were flying above the tornado as we're getting ready to land into our new homeland.
Oh, whoa.
We can see it from the sky.
Welcome to Tennessee.
They opened up the doors.
I guess. Well, there's so many things to talk about. And And, we've kind of readjusted our schedule a little bit so that we have the whole hour. We were going to have Todd Boe here with us also, but Todd is at the hospital again. This time, it's a good thing. He's having his third grandchild today.
Wow.
That's very exciting. And
Nice.
if I get any news from him as we're doing the broadcast, I'll let you know. But I guess that probably trumps us.
Yeah.
Might be a little more important.
A little bit.
That's all right. Todd will be with us actually next week. Folks, once again, we're going to do part 2 of our show on human trafficking, especially child trafficking, with some of the folks that are on the cutting edge of child trafficking. We want to talk about that and Sanctuary's involvement in providing food for families that are taking in children that are being trafficked. So that's next week. So Brian says, I think I've seen both Transformers, Jim. So there you go. He said it's great movies.
Yeah.
So you have a fan there.
Sherry's poking me in the side because I was rubbing my eye.
Okay, there you go. All right, then.
I joke.
I'm sorry. This is going to be a good show. I can tell you right now.
I don't know if Bob knows this story.
Well, yeah,
So Glenn,
Bob, you know that story, Bob?
yes, because
You have those pictures. I have pictures. Yeah.
No, it was not. It didn't happen at Bob's house, though.
He was reading a magazine, and it hit his eyeball, and it cut his eye.
No. Here's the story. I was reading a boating magazine.
Okay.
It was one of my dad's boating magazines. I reach over to my left, and I went to go grab it, and I brought it really fast, and the edge of the paper, one of the pages, actually it got so close it cut the inside of my eyeball.
He had a paper cut on his eyeball.
So I had a paper cut on my eyeball.
And so he spent our whole entire vacation in Puerto Vallarta going.
It was horrible.
Yeah,
It was terrible.
well, we've got pictures. We got pictures.
I told Glenn, I go, don't tell people how you did it. I said, just tell them you had a boating accident.
And
You know what's funny?
exactly what Jimbo's doing right now.
Yeah, this.
Everybody,
and I'll tell you why.
We have a picture of everybody doing it.
I had to hold my
picture
eye.
of you doing that.
What would happen? Let me explain this to you. What would happen is that I had to put like this ointment in my eye at night, and if I did not, my eye would dry out, and the lid of my eye would catch the scar tissue, and it would just like reopen it.
Wow.
The wound. And it was very painful. So I had to hold my eye like shut and not so the eyelid wouldn't move, and I had to hold it for usually for like a half an hour. It was horrible.
Dude.
Horrible.
Oh yeah, well,
Poor Glenda.
Don't you feel sorry for me?
yeah.
It still kind of bothers him every now and then.
Every now and then.
Oh,
Well,
That was a long time ago.
all of these years later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
The eye doctor said I would never be able to wear contacts because I got the scar tissue there. And
Oh, yeah.
Because of the boating accident.
Because of the boating accident.
So let's talk about some history. And let me just say that Jim, of course, from Barren Cross, Glenn from Vengeance, Sherie was the first secretary, I think, at Sanctuary. And she not only on the original worship team and all of that, but she kind of maneuvered us through Metal Mardi Gras and all the big events that were happening during that time. And those were fun times, weren't they? I just remember having so much fun.
Yeah, they were fun.
Yes. So one of the first bands was Barren Cross. And Jim wasn't so sure about us at the very beginning, I remember. He came from a pretty conservative church, and he was not so sure we were going to be okay. And then we were. So we got Jim's endorsement, and Barren Cross, of course, became an important fixture of Sanctuary, really. We worked with you guys a lot. And when it came time to do a gang vocal in the background of one of your songs, I remember that everybody, there you go. Everybody from the church went to the recording studio and did the vocals in the background. So we all felt like we were a part of the band. So Jim,
I wasn't invited to that. Thanks, Jim.
Again?
What's up, Bob?
Would you do that same album cover again?
Not if your life depended on it. It's like you ever just say, man, what were we thinking? You know, so
It was the 80s.
Yeah, it was the 80s. Yeah.
It was cool then, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but believe it or not, there's a couple of pictures that can trump that one. So it's like it's hard to believe. It's funny because I think you and Glenn used to call those my varicose pants because I had these like threads, these white threads that used to go up my legs. And they're like, yeah, so they have these names for my costumes that I wore. That was my varicose vein pants. And then the other costume I wore, it looked like Big Bird. They called Jim LaVerde the Big Bird outfit. And so,
you kind of did, actually, right?
Yeah. So, but I definitely look like Big Bird. Yeah, that was awesome.
Well,
Everybody went through the guy liner phase.
Yes.
Yeah, so, guy liner.
Guy liner.
Aquanet.
Lots of it.
Lots of Aquanet. Oh, there you go.
There were times at church where I wondered who spent the most time with their hair and makeup. Was it the men or the women?
The men.
Well, probably the men, but I've found this really interesting thing with Aquanet. If you held a lighter and you sprayed it, that thing would become a blowtorch. And I mean, you could probably, you could start a campfire with that thing.
You could.
So, Hey,
I'm surprised a lot of the clubs did.
Jim, I got a story for you real quick. I know, Bob, I'm sorry. But speaking of that, so you know Ron Blair, right?
Yes.
And you know Ron Blair. So this is way before, I was a Christian, and we were going to go head out to Hollywood. And Ron he was using right guard. And I was like, and I was at his house. And I'm like, Ron, dude, we got to go. Come on. And he's like, I got to put some deodorant on. And he's spraying it. And I'm playing. I used to smoke cigarettes a long time ago, obviously.
Yeah.
And I was playing with my Bic lighter as he was doing that. And it just caught the aerosol and this big blowtorch right under his arm. Just
fries armpit hairs off.
Hit on fire. It was a
That's
fire.
Believe me, that must have been a forest fire.
Oh, and I'll never forget when I was doing my wedding. And it was actually Lisa, when they did the unity candles, her hair caught on fire.
Yeah.
oh my gosh.
Yes.
Yeah, that was an interesting thing. And of course, that could have happened to anybody. Yeah.
What was that for? For the wedding? Was that the wedding?
Yeah, it was during.
Oh, it was during the wedding.
Yeah.
Lighting the candles. And it wasn't just, we got the fire out fairly quickly, but if you ever had the burnt hair smell,
Oh,
That's-
gee.
You know what? That's the one very unique odor is burning hair.
yes,
Got the fire out.
that'll do it.
You know, Bob, was this
Yeah.
smart to get all of us together at once?
Well,
Sorry.
Glenn Sherie, you were the first ones at Sanctuary to have a child
Yes,
We were.
I was.
who is also part of the worship team now. He's how old now?
35.
35. Can you imagine?
35.
Same age as me.
Little Joe. Yeah, still calling
Crazy.
him Joey.
Yeah.
Little Joey.
Little Joey.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But
Scary Joey.
yes. And who just got engaged this week. So very exciting.
Girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
So, Sherie, the office was always an interesting place. We never knew what was going to happen. We
No.
never knew what was going to come in, what kind of things we were going to go through. But I especially remember during the time of Metal Mardi Gras,
Yeah.
Do you have any memories of Metal Mardi Gras from behind the scenes?
It was kind of one of those things where it's like you either shine or you fall.
Yes.
And I mean, trying to coordinate everything all at once, it was kind of crazy. It was like because we had a carnival, we had the bands, and trying to get all the bands together and to all, at the same time, and trying to get everybody. It was a lot of work, but it wasn't just me. It was a huge team, and they all answered to me. No, but it was definitely, and you know what? It went off perfectly. It was perfect.
Yeah, it was. And we had 2 stages.
We had 2 stages at the Velodrome, which was built for the '84 Olympics for
Yes.
the bicycle races. And it was huge. It was a big place.
So much fun.
So much.
It's funny. It's funny because I remember going, "What's a velodrome?"
I think that's now the home.
Nobody knew what a velodrome was.
That's home of the LA Galaxy
LA
soccer
Galaxy
team now.
soccer team.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And Glenn, that was really was it the first time that Vengeance played live, or I can't remember?
No, it was the first time we played under Sacrifice. Before we changed the name to Vengeance. It was our first show was with Neon Cross.
Yes.
And the bill was filled, and I guess I think we asked Mike Betts, "Hey Mike, do you think we can get on this bill with you guys?" And I forgot who else was playing. Malachi.
Yeah.
And I have the flyer somewhere. And Mike goes, "Yeah, we'll see if we can squeeze you in." And of course, they put us at the end.
Last.
But we only had like 5 or 6 songs at that time. So it was because we were, pretty new. But yeah, so I think the Mardi Gras, which happened in September, right?
Yes.
So we had already done, I think the Mardi Gras was probably our 4th gig.
Okay.
3rd or 4th gig. So it was still pretty fresh.
It was new.
Still pretty new.
It was new. Like all the lyrics weren't completely written.
Yeah, we didn't have a full set either.
Didn't matter.
I think we maybe had like 7, 8 songs at that point. So.
Yeah.
How long did it take you guys to write the song "Receive Him"? You guys did that, right?
Oh, that was a lengthy tune that took us probably about 6 months to finally figure that one out.
Fine tune it.
Refining and refining and refining.
Larry was working on his vocals for a very long time. He had to go to a vocal coach.
So the set wasn't real long because, when you say you only had 5 or 6 songs, you had "Receive Him," you had.
Yep, he is God.
He is God.
Don't Blink, the song's over. Yeah.
Right.
So.
Yes, he is. Yeah. So so they were pretty short songs.
I know all the words to "Receive Him" though.
Yeah.
Good.
Man, that's
They were to memorize.
Yeah, so it didn't last. I mean, it didn't last long. I mean, I think. Well, with Roger was, I think, speaking in between the songs, so kind of
filled it in.
Filled it in. So.
Yes. Chris Keene was just reminding us that that Set Free, which is basically a biker church and still is today. There it is. Was the security, remember, for Metal Mardi Gras?
Yeah.
Very cool. And Phil Aguilera, who is still a good friend today, is still on the scene. But,
cool. That's great. Cool. You know, so funny about that, Bob? I was just somebody had posted a video from that Mardi Gras thing, and on our road crew, which is I forgot exactly who it was, but I remember looking at the video, and our road crew is supposed to be watching out. They're like headbanging on the side of the stage.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes. They weren't in the mosh pit. They were on the side of the stage headbanging. I'm thinking, these guys are supposed to be watching out for us, and they're sitting there headbanging. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Who are those good-looking guys? Oh, that was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yep.
Ooh, baby.
That was, Christy Whitaker set up that photo shoot right there.
Oh yeah. Is that in where's that? San Pedro or where?
Yeah, Pedro on the Rock.
That was at the Sunken City.
Yeah. Barren Cross did a shoot not very far from that. So in the same area, you know.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah.
anyway,
Well, yeah, some really great memories, and I think, you know, as we look back, you know, so many years ago, it still almost seems like yesterday. Much of it
Yep.
does.
Sometimes it
Yeah,
does.
sometimes it does. Yeah.
It just
Yeah.
doesn't seem like it could be this many years in between. How many years have you guys been married now?
36.
Oh, 36.
Wow,
Yeah. Just March 26th was 36 years.
36 years.
that's awesome.
So yes, if everybody's doing the math, we were married when Joey was
born.
conceived and
Yeah.
born. So don't worry.
You should see the people at my church, because you know I grew up in a very strict Baptist church,
Yeah.
and when we got married, I mean, in fact, Crystal and I were just talking about this. Joey's fiance, my soon-to-be daughter-in-law. We were talking about how it was like my church and sanctuary, and you know, it was amazing, because I came from a church that was like very, very strict Baptist. And I think they thought that I don't know what they thought, but when they came to the wedding, and they knew it was pretty much the same, just longer hair,
Right.
more of it, you know? So it was cool. And they still talk about it.
Oh,
Very
that's
a wild church.
Yes. You know, we have an opportunity. Actually, next month in June, we're going to be joining a black church here in town. My good friend James, who until December was our police chief, also pastors a church, and it's one of those churches that when he starts preaching, the guy's on the Hammond.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those, and he
That
gets
one up.
and the great choir and the whole thing.
Awesome.
And we're going to share the service. Their worship team's going to play. Our worship team's going to play. And James
Awesome.
are going to preach together. And this is going to be so much fun. We're going to take a Sunday out and do that. But it's kind of cool to integrate, isn't it? Because Sherie,
Yeah.
like you just said, you know, once we get to know each other, all the stigma is gone.
It is. And it's quick. you
Yes.
know? Yeah.
And once they get to know us, they'll know how much they really love us, because, you know, what's not to love, right, Bob?
It's funny because so James and Denise, James Hambrick, who's the chief, and he's no longer the chief of police here in Mount Juliet, but so they would come to our sanctuary events, and they've been to a few, but
Yes.
this is the funniest thing, because all the sanctuary people were white and were wearing black,
Yeah.
and James and Denise, they're black folks, but they were wearing all white.
Like,
And it was the funniest thing, because Bob pointed that out, and man, brought the house down.
Yeah.
It was so funny. But they are
That's cool.
two of the most wonderful people that I know.
Yes.
And we're
Yes,
looking forward to
absolutely.
spending some
That's good
good time
stuff.
with them.
It's going to be fun.
hey, Bob, I remember I told you about this, but one of the memorabilia, I don't know if you can see this.
Oh, yeah.
That is an unused sticker that I'm going to give you. That was one of the big decal stickers. So it's never been peeled off, never been used. So I'll give that to you. You can put it in your museum there.
That's so awesome.
Is that Maynard?
That's Maynard.
Yeah, it's Maynard.
Maynard Metal.
Found a couple of what do you call them?
Bulletins.
Bulletins from
Don't look.
church there.
He's been slapping them around.
There's the new Maynard medal.
There's the new Maynard medal. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little bit, yeah. But that's awesome. Those are some good memories. Hold that up again.
What's that?
Which one?
Which one?
Yeah.
Oh, the Maynard.
So look at the difference. In those days, this was very cutting edge, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I remember we took that picture and we said tired of the same old hype.
Yes.
And we advertised Sanctuary in the newspaper for people to come and see us. And
Yeah.
The
people
Daily Brief.
to the ad. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Don't I
awesome.
look just like him?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Mm,
And you can tell that it was fashioned after Glenn.
Of course.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's Gwen.
The blonde hair, you know,
Yes.
that's me.
Well, Other memories, you guys. I'd like to hear the things that you remember.
Well, I mean, I like, listen, we, when we did Sanctuary, we always wanted to make an impact on people. And so a lot of times we would do things and to bring home the message. And I forget which message, Bob, you were preaching, but Sherie and I planned this big fight in the middle of worship service. Oh my gosh. And
Seemed like a good idea.
oh man. And so, I mean, we acted out, Sherie comes say something in my ear and I said, no, and I turn around and right in front of everybody, I threw the microphone down and ran to the back of the church and she ran to the other side and, and we met in the back and we were just cracking up. And then about 5 or 6 people are like, what's going on? What's going on? And
it was on gossip.
It was on gossip.
How people can take story and just expound on it.
Yes. And believe me, the acting was so good that, I mean, for months after that, people really thought it was real.
They did. They're like, are you guys okay? Is the okay?
Yeah. My good old friend Mike Van Ash was like, please tell me that wasn't real. Was it real? I was like, no, it was, no, I would never do something like that.
Mike Van Ash is the reason that I came to Sanctuary, because he kept asking me. He kept saying, you really need to come to this church. You really need to come to this church. You're really going to like it. It's heavy metal. And I'm like, okay, first of all, no, because I was a punk rocker. And I was like, I just don't think I came to shut him up. I totally went to shut him up. I thought if I go once, I never have to hear him again. And I stayed.
Well, hey, Sherie.
Yeah.
So the first time I met you and Donna Rude, Mike Van Ash and I were flyering for Sanctuary in the Forum parking lot during a Kiss concert. And so, Mike said, hey, I want to introduce you to 2 people. And I said, okay, well, where are we going? We're going to a funeral home.
We're going to the morgue.
We're going to the morgue. And so I'm like, okay. So we go to the funeral home and there's Sherie and Donna behind the counter. And they were preparing, I don't know if you were preparing a body, but no, or doing whatever.
Yeah, that's where I worked. And Donna had come, we were going to go out afterwards.
Yeah. And so that's where I wound up meeting you guys. And so it was killer.
Killer.
People are dying to get in.
I think before I started dating Sherie, were we dating or just started? We think we started dating. And I went to go pick her up at the mortuary, the Inglewood Cemetery mortuary. It's huge.
The ICM Corporation.
Yes, it was a huge. And she goes, okay, I gotta lock up, and there's nobody there. And she's like, so I go. She goes, yeah, follow me. And so I'm following her, and she's locking up, turning the lights off, and then we walk through the prepping room.
Well, I had to get through there.
Huge. And I'm looking, there's bodies on the table. And I remember this one lady, she was like, she must have died sitting up or something, or rigor mortis, but she was like sitting up and, on the gurney, she was like sitting up, and they looked like wax dummies. They were extremely, white and pale. But I was like, oh my gosh, what am I getting into? It was like, whoa. Yeah.
Hey, Glenn.
I left that job and became the sanctuary secretary.
Yes.
Hey, Glenn, the first time I saw a dead body was that night.
Oh, was it really?
Yes. Yeah.
So fun. We've all had.
Sherie and Donna were like, you want to see a dead body?
I'll see a corpse.
I like my man. We're like, sure.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Oh, that's what it looks like.
No, we didn't.
Let's talk about the worship team and the making of the 2 worship albums that we did, Sanctuary, Praise, and Hiding Place.
Yeah. So I don't even know how we wound up getting that deal to be able to do that, but it was It was definitely the first of its kind. We added big guitars, big drums, some of the greatest rock and roll voices that we could find, which were, these guys were great singers. Sherie sang on it. Glenn played drums. I played acoustic guitar. Did a lot of songwriting on that as well. But yeah, it was, I remember the night, I remember the first one, the night before, a couple nights before, just could not sleep. I was so nervous about, how's this going to come out? How's this going to turn out? And both projects were very, very memorable for me personally. I remember set up the booths and the vocal booths, and Mike and Donna and Steve Miggs and Rod Van Beek and Jenny Kohler, and who else was singing? Sherie. Yeah,
No,
but these are for these were for the backing vocals.
Oh,
and And I remember, like, when we recorded the Blood of Jesus song,
Mike Fry.
Mike Fry. Sorry, Mike, I didn't mean to leave you out, buddy.
Bob.
But just opening the door and listening to these voices and the blend and the friendship that resulted from all of that, just amazing. And so, really great experience.
I think there's some video. I didn't see that part of it because I was like, come do your drum parts.
Well, we were moving too.
Yeah, so do your drum parts, and I left, and then you guys were there for a month, I guess, doing that.
Yeah. So, but
it's on video. Somebody had posted a video. Monday posted a video as Sanctuary Archives.
Yeah.
So it shows you guys
it's all
going through all doing that, all that process.
I think that was the second one, though, wasn't it? Was that the second one?
No.
Where we're playing basketball?
No, that was the first one.
Yeah, but
it was the first one.
It was a very good time of growth musically for me personally and everybody else, and because honestly, we didn't know what we were doing. We just had this, these songs, and we went in. We just knew that we needed to put an edge to them, and let it rip, and so we need to make another one of those.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah,
you know what? It was such a good time. It was fun. We goofed around a lot because we were like 12, and we.
That's right.
We did. We were goofy. We were 20 something and goofy, and but we had so much fun doing it. But it was also like a really good time of worship, and it's funny, it popped up as a worship right out of it, but it really did. It just was like you said, the vocals. You could feel God's presence in the room. You could feel it in there. It was really good. Yeah,
maybe the only time I've ever seen Pastor Bob actually cry, and I've said a couple times, but this was awesome because we had just finished the backing vocals for the Blood of Jesus, which is a phenomenal.
Uh-oh.
Man down.
There you are.
Jim, so say that again.
Oh, I just what part did you miss?
All of it.
All of it. You said
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's one of the only times I've ever seen Pastor Bob cry and just really get emotional. We had just finished the backing vocals to The Blood of Jesus. And I said, Bob, you got to hear this chorus because these vocalists are so good. And I played the song, and I just remember just that emotion that came over you, Bob. And of course, I'm a sympathy crier, so I joined you. But it was, altogether, just a really great experience, and it was a good experience for the church too, because a lot of folks came by, brought lunch with them, and and it was really great. And
another thing is that those songs, they became, everybody at Sanctuary felt like, okay, these are our songs.
Yeah.
These are, we
know these
songs. These are ours, and they felt,
it's ownership.
Ownership. Yes. Ownership for sure.
Yeah. And boy, that was let me tell you, on a musician standpoint, we did all this stuff in the studio, everything was perfect, and then we tried to pull it off in church like the following week. I'm like, wow, boy, the magic of being in the studio.
Yeah. You know, though, I got to tell you, we sounded pretty good live.
Yeah,
I mean,
it did.
You
It
know,
sounded really good.
we didn't have all the,
I'm like,
takes and
where's all the reverb?
where's all the echo?
Where's the echo? The big guitar.
As you remember, we always had to set up and tear down because the other church that we were using at the time, we couldn't leave our stuff there.
Right.
And that's why I only played with a bass drum, snare drum, and cymbals, and that was it.
Yeah.
You know, there was
no frills.
No frills, scaled down, but it worked.
Yeah.
You know,
the worship really went through a lot of changes. I remember, of course, Michael Sweet was our first worship leader for sanctuary service, and then for some reason Striper got a little busy. So, and then we tried some stuff. We tried different people. We tried different situations. I remember one Sunday we ended up with 2 drum sets on the stage. Remember that, Glenn?
And 2 bass players. And 2 bass players. 2 bass players.
And like 5 guitarists.
5 guitar players.
And it was like insane.
Yeah,
that was the first time I ever came. And I was like, wow, they take this seriously.
It was loud.
But we tried a lot of things.
Yeah, and then we had the 2 separate teams, and I remember that. We had so it was
the praise team,
and
the worship team,
So you had Larry Farkas, Doug, Roger, Steve Bertram on drums, and Brian Carilla on vocals.
Right.
Who was the bass player for Deliverance. And they did the praise, the upbeat stuff, the louder stuff. And then it was Keith, Allison, Sherry, Donna, myself on drums, and Jim Bell.
Oh, that's right.
So we remember we had the 2 separate teams. They would play first, and then because everybody's kind of anxious when they get in there, and then, so
kind of get all that out,
get your yah-yahs out, and then we came up and did the worship portion of it.
Yes.
Bob. Speaking of which, have you heard from Jim Bell at all? Ever?
No, I haven't for several years, and I kind of lost touch with him. He didn't answer my last few emails, so I don't know what's going on. I think he's back in Wyoming, where he's from.
Okay.
Is that where it was, Wyoming?
Yeah. So Chris said, didn't we get kicked out of one location by the apartment building because of the volume?
Yeah, yes.
Wasn't that the
That was on Prairie.
On Prairie.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Too loud.
But we were there.
Then we would spill into the parking lot too. And that was loud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That wasn't the only time. Actually, Metal Mardi Gras, we had to end a little before we had planned to because the whole neighborhood was.
Yeah, they weren't like they're like.
It was late and it was loud.
Those don't sound like 10 speeds.
Those aren't.
And that was during Barren Cross's.
That was
during Barren Cross's set. That they had to cut early. Remember?
It's Jim's fault.
Yes.
Yeah.
Always
blame it on the bass player.
Mike Fry does. Mike Fry is here online, and people are having some good memories. He says, "Hey, kiddos." See, we're
Mike.
Hey, Mike Fry, the guy that stands 2 feet back and 3 feet to my right or left or whatever. We were just talking about you, bud. So
yeah.
That's awesome. So, Sherry, I have a question for you.
I have an answer for you.
How does it feel to you?
You gotta reel us in, Bob. Sorry.
Yeah, I know. Well, we've been doing this for a while.
Yeah, we're not new at it.
So, Sherry, in the worship team now, you're standing there with 2 young ladies, one of them about to be your daughter-in-law. How does that feel to all of these years later to see your own family and, of course, your son on the drums trading off with Glenn? And how does that feel to you?
It's kind of, at first I thought it's going to feel kind of weird. I just want to stand there and watch them, But being involved with them at the same time, it's really, really cool. It's just really cool. I'm really proud. Now I'm going to cry again. Oh my God.
Please don't cry.
You know what it is? I'm really proud. I'm really, really grateful that my kids are involved.
Yes.
And
Yes.
really grateful. Joey loves playing the drums. He loves being on the worship team. Crystal loves singing. I've watched, well, Joey's never had a shell, but I've watched them kind of come out and find themselves. I've seen them find themselves. Danny enjoys doing the behind the scenes. He likes doing the production part of it. He likes the moving the slides, doing this. He likes that kind of stuff. He would like to play trumpet on the worship team. So he's like, there's always room for a trumpet. But I think that it just feels really good to see them involved. And I feel like we've landed somewhere where kids feel part of something.
Yes.
And it feels really good. And to Joey said when they first flew here, because he and Crystal flew out first because they had to start work. And he called me and Joey was a little emotional. And he goes, Mom, it felt like I came home.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's
He said,
awesome.
I felt like, he goes, here's all my family that I haven't seen in a while. He
Yeah.
said it was like being home. He goes, and Crystal, who had never met anybody, was like, I immediately felt like I had family together, with everybody. So.
And it's really neat to see how those young folks have coalesced. And I can remember even with Joey, we brought him to Cornerstone one or two times.
We sure did. We hauled his butt across country.
Man,
in the van
with a 2-year-old.
The 2-year-old.
And I remember him those long curls and that look he'd give you, and but both Danny and Joey, Crystal, Jen and Wes, it is so wonderful to see their passion for the continuing work of what we're doing. And
yes,
and my goodness, boy, they can sing. Crystal's got a great voice, and
her and Jen together.
Yeah, both.
It feels good to sing with them. It's nice to do 3 parts.
Yeah, it's really wonderful, and
you can feel you get the music chills, and then the Holy Spirit chills. And you're like,
and 2 days a week, I'll be laying in my bed, and all of a sudden I hear some thumping sounds. Just boom, 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 boom. Oh, I just put in my earpods, but for some reason I can still hear it through my earpods.
I wonder why.
But it's Joey practicing these drums behind me, man, and he's committed to excellence, and I love that. And wow,
plays like his dad.
Yeah,
hard.
Hey, Sean.
Yeah.
Pipe it in.
Hey, Sean.
Is that Sean Scheidel on there?
I can't read. I'm so blind.
Sean Scheidel, yes. After I put on my old man glasses, yep.
Hey, Sean Scheidel. Mine somewhere.
Sorry, folks, that my camera's moving because I am actually holding my phone.
Yeah, we're like, it's like an earthquake. It's like we're back in California.
Well, every time she starts laughing, we're on the couch. All of a sudden, my arm starts going.
Oh, sorry. Am I jiggling it? Yeah, it's not exactly the most comfortable spot in the world. In fact, I think my hands.
You guys, one of the opportunities that we all have now, and our time has kind of gotten away from us, but let's do this again, and we'll do it before too long. We'll invite some other folks to join us as well, besides us, and maybe Todd will be here next time, and let's invite Chris Keene and some of the other guys.
Oh, yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah.
It would be a lot of fun. We can talk about some of the old days. But, one of my greatest joys, and I know it is yours too, is mentoring the younger crowd that's coming up. How cool is it that when I look at Joey and Crystal, for instance, I see the same excitement and that feeling of creating something new that we had almost 40 years ago.
Yeah.
That's what blesses me.
Yeah.
That's the part. Don't you think?
I wish we could get Daniel singing.
Yeah.
Oh.
Daniel's got a great voice. So does Joey.
There you go.
But he's a behind the scenes kind of guy.
Joey's got a good voice.
But listen, I've got plans for a saxophone and a trombone player to come in here.
Oh, dude.
Alrighty then.
Oh yeah, we're gonna throw down some earth
in there too.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. Trumpet, trombone, sax.
Yeah.
3 great instruments together, and we're gonna throw down on some Earth, Wind, and Fire.
What about the kazoo?
I'll do it.
I can play a mean kazoo. And
Yes.
a Jew's harp too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
No, I listen. One of my most favorite things to do is play with horn players, and
Yeah.
it's just there's just something about live horns that just. So maybe
Yeah,
we'll break into September. Or
We
something.
almost brought the horns into Vengeance, but it just didn't work out.
Vengeance with the sax.
Oh, that's another thing that we need to bring out. I know the time's going, but we need to bring out the was it Bob Plays Vengeance?
Yes.
We need to resurrect
that.
that
Classical style. Yes.
Yes.
And
No. Remember
it's the claw.
Remember the cover? The cover. It was Bob with his. It was like this.
Yes. Well, I have the original one right here.
You do?
Yeah. He dropped it. All the fingers broke off except for one.
We're going to do the plaster one of my hand instead of live. Remember that?
Yes.
There's glue.
The plaster one. And then when I was moving, I dropped it.
Oh.
And I could see some of it broke, and now this is what it looks like. So I meant to give myself I know.
Bob brings that in the car with him, and when somebody is cutting him off, comes the sculpture.
Because then it wouldn't be me.
Nice.
Hey,
So
Bob.
I'll close you guys with this comment from Michael Fry.
Yeah.
It's great seeing all of you here today and hearing your voices after all these years. You have no idea how much you have impacted my life and still continue to do so. Love to you. So that's
Aw.
We love you too, Mike.
Mike Fry.
awesome.
He sang Bread of Life.
He did.
Oh yeah, that's
Oh,
what
man.
gives me the chills.
Yeah. Just seriously, the John
He
Michael
sang it
Talbot
at my
song.
dad's wedding too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My dad and
Yeah.
Stars.
Folks, don't forget this weekend here is our sanctuary gathering. There it is. May the 4th be with you. On Saturday, May 4th at 3 p.m., Sunday morning, 9:30, and of course 9:30 every Sunday morning. Folks, thank you for joining us today. Appreciate you being here. Glenn and Sherie and Jim, thanks for joining me. Fun to have you guys here. We'll do it again soon. This really was a lot of fun.
It was
It was
great.
fun.
And I'll let you guys talk a little more, and I'll talk a little less next time. And let's have some great memories. And you be thinking of other things that we can share. It's been kind of fun.
We got a lot of stories.
We've got a lot of stories.
Way more.
Boy.
Way more. Yeah.
Bob, 10 shows worth of
Yeah.
Bob,
stories.
would you ever want to choke us?
Say it again, Jim.
Go ahead,
Jim?
Jimbo.
What did you say?
You just cut out as you were saying that on my end.
Jimbo.
What?
Eddie.
He said 10 more
It
shows.
says 10 more shows.
10 more shows.
Okay.
I've got 10 more shows worth of stories.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Well, we'll have to do at least 10. I think that's a good idea.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll share some more stories like this. Yeah.
Can we have some cake too?
We got
Sherie, Sherie said, "Did you ever want to choke us, Bob?
Yeah, I said, did you ever want to
Did you
choke
ever
us?
want to choke us?"
there you go.
Probably, huh?
So Orlando, thank you for joining us from Brazil. And folks, if you've just joined us since we started, go back and watch the beginning. It's been a great time. Folks, don't forget, once again, you are blessed. So go and be a blessing.